alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you and your household.
You are welcome to Fragrance.
Fragrance is that show where we bring you Islam at your fingertips.
It's going to be an exciting time with us on the program as we have a lot lined up for you.
We have beautiful segments. On starters, we take you on the streets of Lagos where we feel your pulse about what you think, what you know about the simplest things about the religion.
Then we'll be going to You and I, where we treat issues relating to our existence in life.
Do not forget, we also have the segment called the Sahabiyas, the companions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad during his lifetimes. And of course, we'll be bringing you their stories as it touches and relates to our individual lives. Do you know how many pillars are there in Islam? Let's find that out.
5 pillars. I don't know. I have Muslim friends.
Thank
Pillars, and they are the core value of Islam, right? Yeah, I think maybe 5 or 3. I don't know.
Thank you, sir.
I'm not a Muslim, so I can't know.
Alright, in Islam.
Sorry, I'm not Muslim.
Thank you very much, sir. Islam.
7.
Alright, thank you very much.
Do you have any other question?
I don't know now.
Thank you very much, Islam.
I'm not a Muslim.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
5 pillars.
Pillars.
Yes, sir.
I'm not a Muslim.
You are welcome back. Islam is a religion based on principles and core values encapsulated in the pillars of Islam.
Absolutely.
And we are back from the streets. We've heard it from the people on the streets about the pillars of Islam. We have people who got it right.
Yes, yes.
Especially Muslims.
Yes,
of course, they have to.
And of course, the person that said, "Oh, I'm not a Muslim, but I have Muslim friends." Okay, I think it's 5 or 7. Yeah, the person also has an idea. It's good enough. It's good enough. But in the real sense of it, we have 5 pillars in Islam. Okay, and these pillars form the basis. They are the core, the essence of the religion. Islam is a way of life. It is a religion that tells you what to do, how to do it, where to do it, and everything is in the Hadith and the Quran.
The 5 W's and H.
Yes, absolutely. I can say that again.
Of course. One of the pillars of Islam is Iman, which is
Absolutely.
faith. Faith in the oneness of God, of which everything we have to do, we have to refer God, we have to worship Him in the best of ways. Salat,
which is a compulsory part of the religion.
as our existence is based on worshiping Allah. Zakat, almsgiving, Zawm, fasting,
Generosity,
and
fasting.
Hajj, the
Yes.
pilgrimage to Mecca and Medina.
There you have it.
When we live our life based on these pillars of Islam, based on these, we will be living a purposeful life.
Life is easier.
Exactly.
It's easy for you to handle when the pressures of life set in. You'll be
Exactly.
able to understand that everything is according to the dictates of Allah, and everything will be fine in the end if you keep your faith together.
Alhamdulillah.
Who is an ideal man? Let's find out with our guest in the next segment.
Who is an ideal Muslim man? On the program today, we have a revered Islamic scholar with us who will be shedding more light on the ideal Muslim man. And with us is Sheikh Abdurrahman Sulaiman Adangba. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. But if
Before
I
you-
want
before-
to cheat you, I'll
Before
say
you
wa
even...
alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay.
Okay.
And I know I'll get you in that.
Okay, before you even answer the topic, you treat the topic. Well, how come you have 2 Muslim names? Abdurrahman, Sulaiman.
I have my name and my father's name.
Oh, so cool.
So it's more
Okay,
like
so-
a compound name. Sulaiman Adangba is the compound name.
Exactly.
You're
So
welcome
who
to
is
the-
an ideal Muslim man?
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salam ala ashraf al-mursaleen Sayyidina Muhammad,
Sallallahu alayhi wa
the
sallam.
ideal Muslim man. Wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. You see, Islam is part of us and is the way we can apply to achieve our livelihood. So before you delve into such meaning of the ideal Muslim man, you must know what is ideal. So when you say ideal, you are targeting a model. A model. So who is your model? What are you expecting from a model? Is standard. So who is that standard man? So before we go to the manhood or the man ability in him, let's start with the word. Who is a child? Male. A child, male, is that child, a kid born by the parents to be taken care of till adolescence. There are some peculiarities that has to do with him. When he's growing, he's a brother. When he's growing, he's a friend. Those are automatic. But there are some that are not automatic. They are acquired in that man. That is when he becomes a husband. He acquired that name by some services. He is going to start rendering. A husband will be somebody who is married.
Okay.
Then you acquire a second level, a father. That is somebody who got married. After getting married, he got a child.
Okay.
So he becomes a father. Why is he acquiring those status? It means that if he acquires those status, it's going to be given a sense of responsibility. Responsibility. So an ideal man now is a nurtured child, male,
Okay.
acquiring some qualities with the automatic qualities he is born with to become responsible. So an ideal man is a responsible man.
Okay.
Okay.
So, ideal man,
Yep.
pari passu, a son. I don't want to talk about husband yet.
Yeah.
That would be another time. Let's talk about the ideal man who is a son now.
An ideal man who is a son must have a guide.
Brother, a son, brother.
A son, brother, a friend.
A friend, yes. That's what I want us to talk about.
Oh, an ideal man as a son, a brother, a friend must have a guide.
Okay.
That guide must be guided
Okay.
with the teachings of a path he wants to follow. There are many paths. There is the Islamic path. There are other paths aside from the Islamic path. So that Islamic path must be the path that child is going to be taken through to become the ideal man.
Okay.
So as a son, he must have a guide. That guide must be guided as I've said. So he must now be made to take from the guidance what the guidance will give to him to make him become a guardian like the guardian himself. So
Like
that's the
you should
child.
learn
Like
from his
following
role
a
model.
stereotype.
Yes, that is, you see, by being an ideal son, an ideal brother, an ideal friend, they are trying to make him have a standard to live with when he becomes a guardian. You get it. So
absolutely.
what are those things that he must be given? You know, every human is divided into three parts. Every human, man, male or female. Number one, he has the spiritual aspect of him, which must be upgraded
Okay.
at every point in time. So the spiritual part of him is the only part that is unseen but must be trained and tamed towards Allah, which will combine the two other sides of him.
Okay.
The other side is the mental part of him, which with it he will be able to differentiate between the wrong and the right. And the other one is the physical side of him. So you see him and you see the moderation and morality of humanity in him. So he will dress well, he wash his clothes, he clean his mouth, he wear good shoes, he dress normal. He barb his head the normal barbing, not the other barbing. So when you see him, you say this is a child I'll be proud of. And he will become a father to be proud of. So that's the ideal son.
So from what you're saying now, it's about inculcating in the child responsibilities at a very young age.
Inculcating in the child the way to responsibility. The child does not have a responsibility than to learn.
Okay.
Spirituality, learn. Morality, moderation, and third, the physical aspect of it. So that is the only thing he should be forced to do it. He should be forced to do it. So he is leading a way to being responsible, as I've told you earlier. So that's the ideal child.
Okay, so let's look at it from the Islamic perspective. Now we're talking about the ideal son, the ideal man, the ideal friend, who has the physical, the mental, and the spiritual compatibility compacts all together in one.
Yep.
So tell us the Islamic perspective now.
Islam has come to show you that the essence of Islam is human welfareism.
Okay.
When you say you're worshipping, you should make your worship communal, not a personal or individual thing. And that's why the Salatul Jama'ah, praying in the mosque, is more rewarding than praying alone. So everything about Islam is about the other person. Prepare yourself for the other person. The desire of God in creation is welfareism. That's why it says in Surah Al-Asr, Inna lazina amanu, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and those who believe, wa amilu salihah, and do good things, good deeds. So good deeds, when you do it to others, you have done it to yourself.
Absolutely.
So the only desire of Allah after Iman from any human being, male or female, is the good deeds. So it's about human welfareism. So Islamic perspective of it is that you should train him to understand that he has a responsibility to give, and from that responsibility automatically his rights will come. Not that he has a right to collect. No.
Okay.
He has a right to give. That is Islam. A responsibility to give and a right to obtain from such responsibilities. So it's not
It's
right.
a give and
Right
take
is
situation.
no, it's not even that.
Okay.
Right is automatic.
Okay.
It's only when you give your responsibilities you have your right.
Okay.
So, but when you place the right before the responsibilities, then you have lost it. It's not going to work.
Okay.
You must give your responsibility, male, female, before your rights will come to you.
In essence,
Look at
you
when
serve.
I say you serve.
You serve.
That's the whole essence of it. When I say salamu alaikum to you, you
Say
are
wa
two.
alaikum salam. And you
Again
yes.
too. So, and it's my right to take that from you, but it is when I started it. If you don't start it, it won't come to you. So Amelu Soleh, doing good, is one of those things. Then what are the three things? There are only three things when you say Amelu Soleh. Three things Allah has given you, and He has forbidden you from other three things. And it is in the Quran. It says justice, number one. So you should always think that what I'm about to do to someone, will I want it if it is done to me?
Do unto others as you
Yeah,
want them
And
to
will
do
I be
unto
happy?
you.
So what I want to do to the other person, if it is done to me, will I take it? So if you cannot take it, be just
Don't
from
do
within.
it.
When you say justice, it's not outside dividing. No, that's not justice. Justice is of thought. That when I do this, will I accept same if it is done to me? So if you will not accept it, don't do it. Then it should be taught again that even when it is just, you should be able to relatively deal with others. Some people may not be just, but if he wants to teach them justice, it should be relative with them. As in, that person is a bad person. That person has not been just with him, but he must be able to go a level above justice, which is the second one. That's kindness. You pay goodness, you pay evil with goodness.
Yes.
So that is the second level. The second level is after justice, be kind. It is only take a very kind heart to forgive. But you should learn some fundamentals, because there's a wrong saying, wrong notions, wrong connotations people do and say you forgive and forget. There's nothing like forgive and forget in Islam.
Forgive.
It is forgive and correct.
Correct.
So when you forgive and you correct, the person will not repeat it again and you will not remember again. So, but when you say forgive, how can you do me evil and I forget? I won't forget. When I see you, I'll remember. That is human
But if
nature.
you don't repeat it,
That is human nature. But once I correct you, you
and
won't
you don't
repeat it. Yes, that's okay.
then we are fine.
It's forgive and correct. So it should be taught that second level from the first level. Yeah, you should pay good. You should pay evil with goodness. So that is kindness. That's level 2. Then number 3, you should be responsible to kith and kin. What does not belong to you does not belong to you. You know what belongs to you, and you know what does not belong to you. Don't touch other people's things. From all the traits of instincts, you have 17 traits of instincts. You have the emotional instinct, you have the, what do you call it? The physical instinct, you have mental instincts, you have psychological instincts. Those instincts, from all the instincts, don't just be responsible. When Allah says, don't commit zina, who is he telling not to commit zina? Does Allah have a daughter?
No.
So who will be pained when something is done to his daughter? A human being like you. So when you don't do it to a human being like you, and the human being like you does not do it to you, then you are free to, it becomes easier.
And society becomes
So-
saner.
Yes.
Don't take somebody's land and acquire because you needed it. The person needs it too.
Absolutely.
So don't take things that does not belong to you. Before you do, ask for permission. Do you give me this? If he says no, don't take it. If you say I give you, 100%, you can take it. So, and that is why the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us the 9 qualities of human welfareism. When you deal with your brother, he said, do not make him cry. When he's happy, felicitate with him. When he's sad, commiserate with him. Don't build your house above his house. Don't cook in your house with a beautiful aroma, and if you are not going to give him out of it to
And
eat.
it's
You
kind
see?
of hard, Sheikh.
So it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
But if we exist communally, then we'll enjoy it. You know, it is here in Lagos and some parts of the so-called urban areas that you have fences in between houses. When you go to the in-town, inland, you don't find fences. There's no fences. Everybody lives in the same community and they enjoy it
And most of the time, they even cook and eat together.
together. So
Yes.
that is what Islam has come to teach, that human welfareism comes first. The moment there is human welfareism, I understand you understand me. This thing belongs to you. I ask for permission to use it. This thing belongs to me. You ask for permission to take it. Then we don't have any grudges against one another, and we live very happily. That should
Sheikh.
start when we were young. Then we grow with it to become a man.
Wow.
There is no way we're going to expand this topic. You will
No.
definitely have to come back on the show.
Exactly.
I'm going to take your word on air right now that you're going to come back and complete this.
I'm going to give you my words,
Oh.
and I want to tell you something before I go.
Tell me. Tell us.
When a boy, a male child is growing, they should tell him how the singular responsibility given to him by Allah, and that singular responsibility is management. A boy should be told that you are going to be the manager of the managers. Mind you, manager,
Of the managers.
the queens are the managers.
Okay?
But he is going to manage the queen to be able to manage well. That is a singular responsibility to a growing male child to become a model, a standard, and that ideal man you want him to be.
Jazakumullah khairan, Sheikh.
Thank you so
Sheikh
much.
Abdurrahman Suleiman Adangba.
Yeah, I've got it right.
Well, thank you so much for coming
be
on
paid
the
for
show.
that.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you
And
so
we are
much.
happy to know that you'll be willing to come back and
Inshallah,
finish up the
inshallah.
justice to this
Inshallah.
topic. And there you have it, an ideal Muslim man, as explained by our erudite Sheikh. Let us all ensure that we join hands and raise sons, our sons to be epitome of what Islam stands for. Let's teach them the dictates of Islam, the dictates of the Deen, so that at the long run we would have raised a great society.
Asiya, who attained perfect faith as described by the Prophet Muhammad as-salatu was-salam. She lived in ancient Egypt during the rule of the most oppressive pharaoh in history, a horrid man. Not only did she live under his rule, but under his roof as his wife, if you can call it that. Prophet Musa was actually born in a year the baby boys were to be killed. But Prophet Musa was no ordinary child. People who laid their eyes on him felt love towards him as Allah willed. The midwife could not bring herself to report his birth, as that would result in his killing. And we inspired to the mother of Moses, suckle him, but when you fear for him, cast him into the river, and do not fear and do not grieve. Indeed, we will return him to you and will make him of the messengers, as God would plan, and God plans most well. Asiya, the wife of Pharaoh, found Musa in the crate and felt a strong connection and love for him, as she couldn't have children of her own and her desires were suffering. The following exchange between Asiya and her husband is related in the Quran. And the wife of Pharaoh said, "He will be a comfort of the eye for me and for you. Do not kill him, perhaps he may benefit us, or we may adopt him as a son." And thus, in the Pharaoh's own home, the Prophet Musa, the exact boy the tyrant was paranoid of, was raised by his wife. Without Asiya knowing who she was, the mother of Musa eventually again ended up by his side. She served as the baby's wet nurse, and just as God promised in the verse quoted earlier, the mother and son would reunite. Asiya loved Musa as her own. When he started preaching the message of the one true God, she believed wholeheartedly. However, being the wife of the violent and oppressive man who thought himself to be a god, she practiced her faith quietly. One day, a daughter of the pharaoh from another one of his wives heard her hairdresser say, "Bismillah," meaning in the name of God. The daughter, after hearing this from the hairdresser, reported it back to her father in seclusion. As he would find this a reason for execution, he sentenced the hairdresser and her children to public death. He turned to his men and ordered for them to bring a large container like a swimming pool, and then he spilled hot boiling oil into it, and then he said, "Bring me all of her children. May Allah's punishments be with such men." For one by one, the Pharaoh had the children thrown into a pool of hot boiling oil until it was just the hairdresser and her newborn in her hands who had not been thrown into the boil. At this point, the hairdresser felt some hesitation, and God caused her newborn to speak miraculously. She was amazed. The baby encouraged her that the punishment they currently faced is nothing compared to the one in the next life if they sacrifice their faith. Upon witnessing this courage from the hairdresser, Asiya too found the ability to stand up to her husband and reveal her true beliefs. She told him she believed in the one true God, and in Pharaoh she disbelieved. After learning of his wife's true beliefs, he took her to the desert, stripped her and starved her. His daughters and companions stood in her face with laughter. The Pharaoh tried so hard to degrade Asiya, but what he did not realize was that she was already with her master. She was striving only for Allah and his pleasure, and there is nothing that can cause humiliation for a person with that kind of character whatsoever. While enduring her husband's punishments, Asiya made a supplication. "My Lord, build for me near you a home in paradise, and save me from Pharaoh and his deeds, and save me from the wrongdoing people." She asked for a home in paradise, but before she even made the request for her abode to be near Allah, her priorities were clear. She wanted to be close to her Lord, not far. Nothing else mattered, not the pain nor humiliation her husband was trying to cause her. Her faith could not be shaken or shattered. In response to her supplication, God opened the skies and allowed her to see where her abode would be. And she laughed in joy at this revelation while they tortured her continuously. After seeing her laughter while being tortured, the angry, defeated Pharaoh decided to have her killed by dropping on her a huge boulder. But then, just before the boulder came upon her body, God took back her soul, and thus the life of Asiya came to an end. May Allah be pleased with her.
Asiya, the
Wife
of Pharaoh.
Pharaoh.
Yes,
Wife of Pharaoh.
popularly called Pharaoh, secularly. She is one of the those women mentioned in the glorious Quran,
Women of Paradise.
women of paradise, and her life has been unworthy of emulation.
Absolutely.
She was one that showed real faith in Allah.
She showed a lot of determination. She showed a lot of resilience in the cause of the deen.
You know, that faith is quite rare, because someone that
It's
has
strong.
lived in affluence, with a snap of a finger, she has everything.
And now she's under the sun and being tortured.
She was persistent in her belief.
Pharaoh was
in Allah
shocked
subhanahu
because he
wa ta'ala.
felt after some torturing, she'll probably concede and that would be it. But of course, she refused to submit to his tortures, and at the end of the day, he ordered her execution. He asked them to throw a big stone, a boulder, on top of her. And at that point, immediately she saw it, she
prayed.
asked Allah for paradise.
Yeah,
She asked Allah for paradise in heaven with him.
exactly.
That's the height.
When you see fear and you are still persistent with your belief, may Allah grant us such faith.
Ameen kun fayakun.
And may He not test our faith.
Ameen, ameen, ameen. So that's where we'll draw the curtain on today's edition of Fragrance. We thank you so much for joining us, and we appeal to you to follow us on our social media handles that
They
is
are right on
calling
the
right now
screen.
on the screen. Give us your comments, your suggestions. We are open to them. I remain yours sincerely, Tinuke Oloruntoyin Folami, saying, be the change that you seek and stay happy.
Till we meet again next week, inshallah, I remain Fadila Okunu. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.